Hello, hello. Very, very interesting and very, very sad and complex week. I spent 4 days in the Palestinian territories and some in East Jerusalem. Today is Friday, and tomorrow I'm going to Majd al-Shams, which is a Druze community in the north that got hit by a bomb. Lots of people died, lots and lots of people got injured, crazy amount, and I'm going tomorrow to meet the family of the dead and the injured themselves, and also to meet with the local businesses and so on. But anyway, that's tomorrow. This week was a week of hearing personal stories, personal tragedies of what does it mean to live in a complex situation. Lots of sadness, lots of sadness about what is the price of a mistake. Somebody takes the wrong step, very hard to fix it. Also example of pure evil. No other way to do it. There's a normal distribution of good and bad deeds, and the bad ones are just very, very impactful. A good deed corrects something, bad ones have a tremendous amount of damage and completely disproportionate. And to hear the perspective of the pain, the daily pain, was just very tough, difficult. At time I felt accused, not that I've done anything, but I'm part of the Western world that is allowing this to happen, and part, of course, of Israel that is causing some of it. Was very tough. I'm reading now a book that looks at three crises, the three generation-long fights that were resolved to some degree. One is in Cyprus between the Turkish and the Greeks. Lasted a very long time, and it became non-violent. They still don't like each other, there's still complexity, but became non-violent. The second one is about Ireland, north of Ireland and south of Ireland. And Liel, who wrote this book, is talking about the fact, he mentioned there that they used to think that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is easier to solve than the Irish. Of course, they've resolved theirs a long time ago, and we are still at it, maybe with even higher intensity. And then South Africa, very complex, very painful. Nobody would say it's resolved completely, but dramatic steps forward. And in this book, Liel is mentioning this concept of parity of respect. That in order to start having a solution, you need parity of respect. And I, reading this book just before these days was so helpful, because it kind of helped me listen and try as much as I could to respect the perspective of the other side. Not easy, but listen. And I also think that being attacked for such a long time by the COVID deniers allowed me to basically say, okay, I know how to accept attacks and don't take it personally, and just try to understand what is going on. But this parity of respect, I think, got an extra vividness for me when I was visiting. Like what are the debates about? What do people want? And part of it is that until we listen, until we acknowledge, until we pay respect, it will be very, very hard to move. I was thinking when I was hearing all of this complexity, and it's been going on for such a long time, I was thinking that if I was a couples therapist, and the Palestinian and the Israelis would come to me as a couple therapist, I would say, get divorced. It's not going to work out. No. you know, you did this and you did this and this happened before, and it's really very much reminiscent of couples who can't get along and can't get over the crimes of the past when they try to think about the future. But of course, life is not that simple. If I was a couple therapist, I would have said, go your own way, and so on. Here, this is not possible. So what do we do? In these 4 meetings, there were lots of discussions about short-term steps and long-term steps. What they call top-down. The leaders are starting something, and bottom-up, we the people are trying some activities. And you know, of course, at some point we'll need the top-down. Politicians will have to decide what to do, and right now it doesn't look like there are politicians on the Palestinian side that can have the legitimacy and the power to bring about some improvement, and certainly doesn't seem on the Israeli side that there's politicians that have the mandate and the ability to do that. But that will happen sometime. And you know, at the end of the day, the top down will have to happen. Like, without the politicians agreeing, we couldn't. But I was also very much inspired by the bottom up, civic society, people meeting together to raise bees and improve the conditions, and have art and music, and write books together. And in some sense, the bottom up seems like it's so small. By the way, very, very rewarding, because it's possible. Like, you look at the problem at its largest size. I say, how can I solve this? It's impossible. It's too big. You look at the small things, say, okay, I see how I can help. Here's an organization that does X. I can see how I can help. Here's an organization that does education. I can do Y. For example, I'm part of an organization that takes Israeli and Palestinian kids that have kind of leadership qualities, and for 3 years teaching them computer science. And they do projects together and maybe startups, and I'm meeting them on Tuesday, by the way. So you look at the bottom up and you say, okay, the big one, I don't know what to do. The small one, I can think about steps. But I think more than just feeling a sense of doing and not kind of sinking into hopelessness, I think we need that. I think that civic society needs to keep hope. We need to direct more people into the positive side. I think we need to show examples. I think we need to create trust. At the end of the day, one day when our politicians will sit together and think about whether they can trust each other, we need signals of trust. We need examples. We need examples for the politicians. We need examples for the people. We need to show that trust can happen, and that collaboration can happen, and activities together can happen. You know, with more agreement, less agreement, but things like this can happen. So I think, yes, we need to wait until our politicians are ready, but we need to create the conditions for that. And I think that the conditions for that will come from much, much higher involvement with civic society, and demonstrations of corners of hope and possibilities and collaboration, and we'll not just keep the possibility going, but increase it, so that we increase the chance that one day something good will happen. Last thing I want to comment on is about BDS and normalization. So right now, when there are activities that are both Israelis and Palestinian, the BDS movement boycotts it, and it boycotts it on the Palestinian side. And the same thing is, the term is used, normalization. They say to the Palestinians, don't do anything with the Israeli side, because this would normalize the relationship. And I came to think about those two activities, the fight against normalization and the BDS movement, as one of the biggest barriers for peace. You know, I would love to do something with the Palestinians, Let's say we could do a course together, maybe we could do a university together, maybe we could do a high school together. Let's assume that we would meet this group that invites kids to spend 3 years, 3 summers, and then throughout the year to study computer science. That's a great direction. What if we could do a school? What if we could do a school where talented kids from all over the West Bank, Gaza, Jerusalem, and Israel would study together? Maybe a day a week, maybe it's a boarding school. Right now, when I kind of propose things in that direction, my Palestinian colleagues say, we can't do it. BDS would not let us, normalization would not let us. Really not good, really not good. We have to create these openings. We have to create these examples like this, shining examples of collaboration, trust, work together. We also have to create examples, like if you think about the normal distribution, really good behavior, really terrible behavior. How do we generate really good behaviors? How do we generate examples? Like right now we have lots of terrible examples of terrible behavior. And each side is blaming the other side and bringing those more up. What about the good side? How would we show the possibility of the amazing part of human spirit if we don't start? Anyway, did I come more hopeful or less hopeful out of these 4 days? I came with the realization that the problem is larger, more complex, much more pain, much more pain on both sides. It will take a long time to solve, but I think I'm more hopeful. I've seen enough glimpses of possibilities, and I think that we just have to. We don't have the privilege of getting divorced. Everybody's here, everybody's together, and we have to come up with something. Okay, wishing all of us much better 2025. Maybe with the beginnings of signs of a new Middle East. Bye for now.